RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta las 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines are
On the eve of the third National Vaccination Day, Bulacan started its initial rollout of Pfizer vaccine.
Pero dahil nakita ko naman na maraming, actually mga anak ng doctors, yung mga kasamahan ko nagpa-inject na yung mga anak nila. So nawala na rin yung worries ko. And approval na rin ng mga pedya niya.
Maganda yung assessment namin. Sa kakunti lang ang umiyak. Parang aware naman yung mga bata na babakunahan sila.
If anything happens, Galvez assures everyone that the government will take full responsibility.
Kung meron mang may mangyari na natin, the government, the national government is responsible for everything.
Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
The Philippines will finally be able to have a secure supply of the antiviral pill molnupiravir at a lower cost. That's after the Food and Drug Administration approved the local production of the drug. The FDA issued an emergency use authorization to Lloyd Laboratories for the local production of a generic molnupiravir. The agency says the laboratory will be able to produce 1 million capsules for 25,000 COVID-19 patients in a year. Most of the approved branded molnupiravir have limited supply sent to the country.
Yung inaprubahan ng FDA na EUA ng molnupiravir ng Lloyd ay isang generic product. Usually po, ang generic product po ay 30 to 50% po mas mababa kaysa doon sa mga branded. Nagpa-survey po ako kung magkano po sa merkado noong January, mga 100 to 150 po per capsule po ang molnupiravir. Ngayon, pwede po itong asahan na ang Lloyd ay i-market niya siguro between 50 to 75 pesos na lang per capsule.
Molnupiravir is currently approved only for emergency use for mild and moderate COVID-19 infection. It is not yet sold in the market. Another antigen test kit brand gets government approval. The Food and Drug Administration gave the green light for Getane Biotech Incorporated's one-step test for SARS-CoV-2 antigen. This is the third self-administered antigen kit brand that may now be sold locally. The other two brands approved are the test kits produced by LabNovation Technologies and Abbott Rapid Diagnostics. As of today, 30,000 LabNovation self-administered rapid antigen test kits are already in the country through its distributor, ClearBridge Medical Philippines. They are now available at the Generics Pharmacy main branch in Parañaque City and will be available in other branches and pharmacies soon. They're sold at 350 pesos per kit, price cap set by the Health Department. President Rodrigo Duterte is not endorsing any presidential candidate, at least for now. He says almost all candidates reached out to him in one way or another to seek his support. His statement comes in the light of a social weather station survey that showed 75% of Filipinos are satisfied with the president's performance. Political analyst Mon Casipe, however, says voters are not solely dependent on what the president will say, but his endorsement can amplify the support for his bet. We have the full report from Trisha Tarada later on in the show. Straight from their proclamation rallies yesterday, 3 presidential candidates court voters in different parts of the country. Vice President Leni Robredo still in Bicol, Senator Manny Pacquiao in Sarangani, and Labor leader Leody de Guzman still in Quezon City. Our Anjo Alimario takes us to day 2 of their campaigns.
It's a different story for Vice President Leni Robredo in Sorsogon in 2016. She came close to sweeping the entire Bicol region except here. Vice Presidential Betchis Escudero ruled the province at the time with more than 200,000 votes. Now Governor of Sorsogon, Escudero has yet to endorse anyone for the highest post, but he's now part of Robredo's Senate slate. But if this packed gymnasium of pink-clad supporters is an indication, Sorsogueños may have a change of heart for a fellow Bicolano. Robredo appeals to voters to discern against false promises.
during 2022 elections, magdidesisyon anong klaseng politika sa kapamamahala ang gusto nating mamayani dito. Dahil ang akin pong ino-offer sa inyo, ibang-iba naman sa ino-offer sa iba. Ang akin pong klase ng politika, pinakita ko kung paano ako as a public servant. Hindi pinagsisilbihan, pero siya yung naninilbihan.
Senator Manny Pacquiao says he can provide homes for all poor families for free if he becomes president. On day 2 of the campaign trail, he visits the Pacman village he had built in Alabel, Sarangani with 2 of his senatorial candidates, former broadcaster Rafi Tulfo and former Eastern Samar Governor Lotgardo Barbo. Pacquiao paid for the construction of around 2,000 homes in the village, and the houses were given for free to poor beneficiaries. He says these villages are proof that his promise of free housing for the poor is not lip service.
Pero pag tayo ay pinalad at pinagkatiwalaan ng taong bayan, lahat ng pamilya na walang tahanan gusto ko mabigyan ng tahanan. Pag nandyan na tayo sa gobyerno, magagawa na natin ang dapat natin magawa. Katulad ng pagbibigay natin ng pabahay sa lahat ng mga pamilya na walang sariling tahanan.
Meanwhile, Labor leader Leody de Guzman says he is satisfied with the outcome of his proclamation rally in Quezon City despite possible sanctions from COMELEC. The poll body said the rally had no permit, therefore a violation of election guidelines. De Guzman says his legal team is still coordinating with the COMELEC about the permit as well as possible sanctions against him. Sanctions may include fines, jail time, or even disqualification.
Baka kailangan natin itong kausapin yung COMELEC na huwag naman masyadong stricto. Kung meron ka ng face mask, meron ka ng alcohol, at meron ka ng vaccine, meron ka ng vaccine card, ganun pa rin yung ipatutupad na parang patadaanin ka halos sa butas ng karayom para makapaglunsad ng kampanya. Siguro dapat ay rekonsidera at medyo luwagan yung mga policy.
Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
In my interview yesterday, de Guzman's campaign manager, Sonny Melencio, admitted they are used to staging rallies without permits. He said they're, quote, very sorry for the lapses, unquote. Melencio also clarified they applied for a permit but had to make sudden changes in the venue. For more stories ahead, presidential candidate Senator Ping Lacson continues to seek support, this time from vote-rich Quezon City, while Manila Mayor Isko Moreno takes on Rizal Province. And longtime Pinoy Big Brother host Tony Gonzaga makes a voluntary exit from the show after backlash for hosting the proclamation rally of presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos. Welcome back to CNN Philippines. Presidential candidates hit the campaign trail with Senator Ping Lacson heading to the vote-rich Quezon City and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno courting Rizal Province. George Quiles joins us live from Quezon City with the latest. George.
Pia, the Lacson-Soto tandem met with local officials of Quezon City led by Mayor Joy Belmonte and Soto's son, Vice Mayor Gian Soto. There was no endorsement made, but Senate President Soto said that Mayor Belmonte is supporting their candidacy. With around 1.4 million voters, the tandem acknowledges the importance of getting the majority votes here in Quezon City. They met with their supporters here at the Quezon Memorial Circle, declaring their battle cry, aayusin ng gobyerno para maayos ang buhay ng Pilipino. Joining the duo on the stage were senatorial candidates former PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar, Dr. Mingita Padilla, former Makati Representative Monsur del Rosario, former Senator J.V. Ejercito, and former Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol. Earlier, we asked the Lacson-Soto tandem about their guest candidates who joined the proclamation rally of other presidential and vice presidential candidates. Some of them are even party mates, friends, and longtime colleagues in the Senate. Lacson admits he felt a bit slighted after their guest senatorial candidates did not join them in Cavite yesterday. But he explains that he understood the practicality of their decision given that they want to win the elections. But he says it's a totally different situation if their guest candidates openly endorse their competition. If that happens, they will have to drop them from their slate.
Well, let's put it this way, no? Gusto nila manalo. Gusto rin namin sila manalo. Pero wag naman silang magkampanya sa ibang kandidato. Kasi kung ganon, hindi na rin namin sila gusto manalo.
If you're endorsing other candidates, we will no longer endorse you. Pero yung tumindig ka sa ibang entablado, nagsalita ka, pinuri mo yung sarili mo, walang problema sa amin yun. Sapagkat gusto rin natin na magkaroon sila ng pagkakataon.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate Manila Mayor Isko Moreno made his rounds in Rizal Province. With him, his running mate, Dr. Willie Ong. The tandem also got the endorsement of Rodriguez Rizal Mayor Dennis Hernandez. In relation to some health protocols set by the COMELEC during the campaign, Moreno is hoping that the poll body will reconsider its policies.
Ang gusto ko lamang makausap kayo, makalapit ako sa tao, kahit na medyo pinagbabawal yung selfie-selfie, ang katwiran ko, selfie na nga lang, pinagdadamot pa natin sa tao.
After the production numbers filled the proclamation rally at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan yesterday, presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos and vice presidential candidate Sara Duterte did not have a public appearance today. Back to you, Pia.
George, did Senator Lacson talk about or mention whether there were any senatorial bets? Wait a minute, I think you just reported about this, about the senatorial bets openly endorsing other candidates, and he did address the question. I guess that's a problem when you have too many tickets, too many presidential candidates. Yeah, George, sige, baka may gusto ko pang idagdag.
Yes, Pia. Yes, Pia, Lacson says they're verifying reports that Senator Richard Gordon endorsed another presidential and vice presidential candidates. That's why they want to talk to him as soon as possible. Now, former Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista used to be part of the slate, but he was already dropped because he's already part of the unit team, the group under Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte. Now, as for former Vice President Judge Omar Binay, Lacson says they have lost touch with his camp for a long time. That's why they try to reach to them again. But for now, he's still part of the slate. Back to you.
What does that mean? They've been ghosted by George Binay or something? And you mentioned Dick Gordon. He was at Lenny's proclamation rally yesterday in Naga.
That's right, Pia. That's what they want to verify. If Senator Gordon indeed endorsed openly Vice President Leni Robredo and her running mate. So those are the things that they want to find out. And of course, in the case of Vice President Jojo Marbinay, they want to know if the former Vice President is still inclined to join their team, or he will be endorsing another candidate. Back to you.
Or he just goes to them. Well, yun ang problema, no, George, and well, everybody who's covered politics here in this country. Sobrang daming presidential candidates and daming senatorial candidates, and many of them are on different slates. George Quiles there, live from Quezon City. Now, with limited resources, 2 more presidential candidates launched their campaigns, while others have yet to firm up their plans. Tristan Odalo filed this report.
After an hour-long caravan in Tagaytay and Bacoor, Cavite, presidential candidate Ernie Abella personally greets his supporters at the Presbyterian Theological Seminary in Dasmariñas, Cavite. The pastor turned politician likened the presidential race to a David and Goliath battle. Praise and worship songs opened Abella's proclamation rally. On stage, Abella says he is not a politician, but he was called to serve the Filipino people.
I felt it was important for me to be able to share a little bit of my story. Kasi para naintindihan, kasi alam, sasabihin na bigla-bigla, yung ganun, parang ganun-ganun lang. Pero there's a deeper backstory.
Abella admits he lacks the political machinery and funds, but trusts that his supporters and volunteers will fulfill his dream for the nation. If elected, he vows to establish a government that will listen to the people, address corruption, hunger, and poverty.
You know, for 500 years, we have been called a Christian nation, but up to now, we're still considered one of the most corrupt nations.
After the vote-rich province of Cavite, Abella eyes to visit Cebu, Davao, and other key areas in Luzon. In the meantime, presidential candidate Jose Montemayor and running mate Rizalito David launched their bid in front of around 50 supporters at a condominium in Pasay City on Tuesday. The two are running under the Democratic Party of the Philippines. Montemayor was not bothered when asked about possible violations of health protocols during his proclamation event.
Mag-quote kayo ng isang scientific study really proving that wearing face mask is directly related to COVID infection. Wala po. Hindi kayo i-encourage. No, wag magsuot ng face mask. Kahit yung nanay at saka tatay nung bulag, tanungin mo siya. Matanda na siya. Diba? So, well, gusto ko sana naka-face mask ang lahat.
Presidential candidate and former Defense Secretary Norberto Gonzales has yet to announce his plans for the campaign period. No fixed date yet on a proclamation rally, but he has attended the first Comelec-sponsored e-rally. Another presidential aspirant, Faisal Mangundato, also attended the e-rally. His team has yet to give the media a schedule of campaign activities. CNN Philippines visited his headquarters in Quezon City, but there were no scheduled activities at that time. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
The People's Reform Party, founded by the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, officially adopts presidential daughter Sara Duterte as its vice presidential candidate. The Davao City Mayor graced the inauguration of the party's campaign headquarters in Quezon City this afternoon. In 2016, Santiago ran for president against Sara's father and in tandem with former Senator Bongbong Marcos. President Duterte refuses to endorse any presidential candidate, even after some hopefuls supposedly came to him asking for support. Now, that is as the chief executive again earned a very good satisfaction rating in the latest social weather station survey. Trisha Terada has that story.
Hours before the official campaign period kicked off, President Rodrigo Duterte clarified that he is not supporting any presidential candidate for now. He said almost all candidates have reached out to him in one way or another for his endorsement.
I may, in the end, if I see that it would be my advice and maybe endorsement would help kung kailangan. But at this time, I am saying that I'm not supporting anybody. Gusto ko kasi maglabas na puro ko kaibigan, unless there is a compelling reason really for me to change my mind and decide to support a candidate. But until now, wala akong nakikita na danger.
Political analyst Mon Casiple says the president's endorsement is significant, but just like in the past administrations, he says even that might not make much of a difference for a presidential aspirant's battle.
Depende yan kung ano yung popularity pa na naiwan sa presidente. Kasi ang naging pattern sa atin, mula pa nung kay Marcos wala pang presidente na nagkaroon ng ganong klaseng power ng endorsement. Lahat ng mga na-endorse before, except siguro ng in-endorse ni Cory, lahat ng in-endorse ng mga sitting president natalo.
A recent SWS survey shows 75% or majority of Filipinos are satisfied with President Duterte's performance. Malacanang gratefully acknowledges the public for its continued trust and support.
Ikumpara natin si Pangulong Duterte at this point na towards the last months of his administration compared to previous presidents at this point also na towards their respective last months in their administration. Si Pangulong Duterte po ang kung hindi ako nagkakamali ang highest net satisfaction rating.
Despite the high satisfactory rating, Casiple says voters are not solely dependent on what the president will say. They're also looking at the candidates. The president's bet can, however, benefit from the outgoing leader's solid supporters.
Ang record kasi natin ng lahat ng mga sitting president, naging negative basically ang performance sa mata ng tao. So, ang problem palagi dyan, once na nag-endorse siya ng susunod sa kanya, naging negative generally ang labas. Kaya hindi necessarily good yung endorsement
In 2019 midterm elections, President Duterte's top senatorial bets made it to the list. But Casiple says their victory doesn't necessarily mean it would be the same for the chief executive's presidential bet. Besides, Casiple says the voters are also looking at surveys. For now, he says it's too early to judge since a lot can still happen in the run-up to May 9th. Trisha Tarada, CNN Philippines.
The National Bureau of Investigation presents a person of interest in the alleged death threat against presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos on TikTok. The man showed up at the NBI hoping to clear his name as he claims his personal information was used to create the TikTok account that posted the threat. He agreed to submit his gadgets for forensic investigation and undergo a lie detector test. He believes the incident could be linked to his support for Marcos's rival, Vice President Leni Robredo.
Hindi ko ako natatakot kasi alam ko sa sarili ko na malinis ako, wala akong ginagawa. Siguraduhin ako, nagsasampa ako sa ganda, sinisinga nila yung pagkatao.
We would like to make it very clear that as of the moment, as we speak, Mr. Report is a person of interest in this investigation. It is not an accused yet. Investigation is being conducted.
Last month, authorities flagged a comment on TikTok that said there have been daily meetings about a supposed plan to assassinate Marcos. A back-to-back recognition with Filipino-American Miami Heat mentor Eric Spoelstra making it to the top 15 best coaches in NBA history. And global superstar Adele sweeping the 2022 Brit Awards. Details when we come back. Welcome back. Tony Gonzaga is leaving the Pinoy Big Brother house. Tony announced she is stepping down as PBB's main host after 16 years on the show. The news comes a day after the actress trended on Twitter for hosting Bongbong Marcos's proclamation rally. Now, this was met with mixed reactions, with some netizens criticizing her for introducing a lawmaker who went against the renewal of ABS-CBN's franchise. Today, #UnbotheredQueen Tony G also entered Twitter trends. PBB management issued a statement thanking Tony and saying they respect her decision. Neither the show nor Tony has stated a reason behind the former host's exit. In sports, the quest for gold is not over yet for the country's first Olympic champion. In the 31st Southeast Asian Games in Hanoi, Vietnam this May, Heidelin Diaz will defend her title in the women's 55-kilogram category. But first, Diaz must hurdle next month's national weightlifting qualifiers. In an event honoring the weightlifter at the De La Salle College of St. Benilde, Diaz shared she's slowly regaining strength after testing positive for COVID-19 last month.
After 2 weeks of heavy training, medyo lumakas na ako. Medyo naka-recover na after COVID, after holidays. Mas okay yung nandun na makita nila. Ito pala si Ate Heidi, kasama namin dito sa paglaro sa SEA Games. So kung nagawa niya sa Olympics, kaya din namin. So habang naglalaro ako, it serves an inspiration sa mga athletes.
Another Pinoy in sports got high praises today. The NBA named Phil-Am Eric Spoelstra one of the top 15 greatest coaches in history. Spoelstra has been the Miami Heat's head coach since 2008, leading the team to 5 NBA Finals appearances and 2 titles. Also in the list are Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich. Spoelstra is currently second to Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs as the longest tenured NBA head coach. The Filipino-American is coaching Team Durant in the All-Star Game on February 21, Philippine time. Well, speaking of stars, the winners for this year's Brit Awards are out, and leading the pack is Adele. The English singer nabbed all but one of the 4 categories she was nominated for. Her wins include Artist and Album of the Year, and Silk Sonic, the R&B duo behind smash hit Leave the Door Open, took the prize for international group, beating acts like BTS and ABBA. You can check out the full list of winners on cnnphilippines.com. And that is it for tonight. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Hontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Butterflies in your stomach. The kilig feeling you get when that special person is around and your Butterflies in your stomach. The kilig feeling you get when that special person is around and your heart is thumping in your chest. Does this sound familiar? For most of us, that's our heart telling us that we're in love. But as it turns out, love is really all about the brain, which in turn makes the rest of our body go crazy. Today, we will look at the science of love, from the brain chemicals that give us all those happy feelings to deciding what love means in the context of our relationships. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and our goal here on the program is to help you better understand the care you need and deserve. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. All the songwriters and poets can try putting emotions into words, but love is such a mystery that we need the help of science to explain it even more. To help us understand our brain on love, let's welcome our guests. With us is Lizzie Ann Puno, who is a counseling psychologist and relationship therapist from the International Counseling and Psychology Center. Also joining us is Celi Magpantay. She is a clinical psychologist from St. Luke's Medical Center. Anecdotally, love is a matter of the heart, but the main organ affected by love is the brain. I'll start the discussion here with Lizzie. If the brain is the main organ for love, can love be scientifically explained as a mere congregation of chemical reactions and hormones for that matter?
Unconsciously, I mean, we have an image of what feels good, what is pleasurable, that has been imprinted in our minds even from when we are children. And of course, the feel-good section of the brain, which is in the limbic system, triggered by the brain structure called the amygdala, can release all these hormones, oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, truly giving us a high and truly making us feel that, wow, this is the person that I'm looking for. This is the person who's right for me. And, you know, we fall head over heels in love so quickly because of that feeling that is felt in the brain, trickling down to our bodies, to our hearts, to just that overall feeling.
Now, aside from our brain, love's effects show up in our bodies as well. Lizzie, what are naman some of the healthy effects of love on the body?
People who are in relationships supposedly would be promised longevity, that it actually allows themselves to really extend life because you put an effort in taking care of yourself. When we feel good overall, then we want to keep a balance in all areas of our life, not only the physical body, but the social, the professional, the psychological. And so you want to be the best for your partner. And all of those things makes you sleep better, exercise more, keep fit, and all of these things that you do for yourself as well as for your partner.
Celi, what are some of the negative effects that can happen to a person or to a person's body, physical body for that matter, when they are in love?
Because love, as mentioned, is also powerful. It heals you. And at the same time, when the love becomes toxic, it's like energy that also kills the body. So you will notice that you will have a very low immune system. You will also feel distress, and sometimes it can lead to a lot of mental health issue if the loves become toxic.
Now, when it comes to relationships, most of us have no idea what we're doing. We're on cloud nine during the first stages of love, but as we move into the struggles of everyday life, personal baggage may start to show. We can find ourselves in the face of hurt feelings, escalating conflict, and emotional withdrawal. How can we call a relationship quote-unquote healthy?
Having a healthy connection that brings both of you joy, of course, communication, making time for each other, and really prioritizing the other, an attitude of curiosity, that you are constantly interested in the other person so that the other person could truly feel cherished and special by you.
I notice a lot of people who are in healthy relationships, talk about their day, talk about some really mundane things. What is the role of open communication in a healthy relationship?
Communication maintains the emotional closeness that is so crucial to a healthy relationship. And communication of your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, your interests, and your passion allows you to stay connected with your partner and safeguard the relationship, from any vulnerabilities of other things invading it.
Celi, how important is trust in a healthy relationship? Ito ba yung just letting your partner just do whatever because may trust naman? Or is there a healthy level of trust in every relationship?
When you know that you are trusting your partner, even if that partner is far away from you, you can still feel at peace and secured that you are connected to that person. So knowing that the person's best interest in mind whenever you go builds more trust, and it also fosters the love and relationship in the marriage or in the couple's life.
Now, healthy relationships are something you work hard for. But sometimes, no matter how hard we work, it just doesn't seem to work. When we return, we'll talk about the red flags in a relationship. We're your connection to healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk. We're always told to steer clear of people who exhibit red flags. But what exactly are relationship red flags? And what should we look out for? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk. We're together in health. When you're dating someone new, the romance and excitement during the honeymoon phase can be blinding. And because of this, we may not see warning signs. Red flags indicate a reason to cease or back away from a relationship that some might be very clear, but others may not be that obvious. Also, it can take some time for a red flag to present itself in a relationship. Now, Lissy, while certainly not universal, what are some of the common red flags in a relationship?
When a relationship with another person is affecting your mental health, in ways that it creates low moods, a lot of worries and anxieties, a lot of conflict that, triggers a dysregulation in your emotions and in your function, then of course that's a red flag. The second one is a change in your personality, the change in your self-esteem. Again, how you value yourself or your sense of worth. And sort of like challenges in communication, in problem solving, that you're constantly stressed and distressed, lonely and isolated. I think this is really important red flags. People who are in challenging relationships are usually the last people to realize that they are in one.
Now, I'd like to ask Sally, are these red flags a reason to walk away, or should they be addressed and used to mend a relationship?
It depends on the relationship, the extent of the relationship. If it's just a simple misunderstanding, like for example, communication problem, it's better to address it. It's worth saving. But if there's really manipulation, if there's abuse, better not to continue.
The line between a healthy and unhealthy relationship can be quickly crossed and difficult to identify, even with signs that may seem obvious to others. When you're in a toxic relationship, it can be hard to see red flags. If you're constantly unhappy and drained from seeing your partner, it can be a sign that something needs to change. Now, Lissy, what makes it so difficult for the people involved to leave that relationship?
Well, I think one of the things that I'd like to highlight here would be fear, anxiety, and worry, right? I mean, if you have been together for a long time, familiarity with a person might be better than starting anew elsewhere. And sometimes a toxic relationship actually offers a different kind of security, right? A different kind of safety. And so you're willing to withstand the toxicity because of what you might gain. It's difficult to give up maybe a lifestyle or the years, time that you've invested with one another. And again, just sort of like the memories that you've invested in. So a lot of people hold on. And then, of course, there's that anticipation that what if pwede pa magbago? What if there's still a possibility of change? Sometimes even self-doubt, right? Maybe I'm the one at fault. Maybe I'm the one contributing to the toxicity. So all of those factors can contribute to that.
Now, Lissy, what are some of the signs in a relationship that goes beyond not just toxic but abusive na?
So first of all, when you are in an abusive relationship, you want to really think that there could be psychological disorders that contribute to the abuse. Of course, mental health issues, childhood trauma, personality disorders, that could contribute to one being an abuser. People would have heard, of course, of physical abuse, and there are clear physical signs that the abuse is happening, although sometimes the victim may tend to deny this or hide it from people. But there is, of course, emotional abuse, which is very difficult to discern, psychological abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, and, amongst others. You will actually know, being in this relationship, you are the best person to know what you're experiencing. And if your gut feel is telling you something is not right, this doesn't feel good, please seek professional help.
Sally, for people experiencing physical abuse in a relationship, is there a hotline that they can call or somewhere they can go to for help?
There are hotlines like the NCMH and other NGOs that are providing some free psychological first aid for the abuser. But remember, even though they seek help, it's not easy to get out of the relationship. The context of that is the codependency. They know they are abused in many ways, but cutting the ties of the abuser is a very difficult process, and they need constant counseling in order for them to be empowered to get out of a toxic relationship.
Even if your relationship seems healthy, it can be helpful to take a step back and look for ways to make it better. We'll talk about this and more when we return. Your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk. We all know by now how hard it is to maintain a healthy relationship. Even when people get along really well, stress and daily life can cause conflicts that seem difficult or impossible to resolve. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk, where your care comes first. Relationship counseling or couples therapy focuses on helping people improve their romantic relationships. While these are often used to address problems, it can be helpful at any stage of a relationship. Lizzie, my question is, what happens during couples therapy?
You want to think of couples counseling as preventive. We are preventing negative habits from setting in. We are preventing sort of like conflict from escalating. So couples counseling is preventive. The second thing is couples counseling is psychoeducational. We grow up in different households, so bring in different skills of relating to one another. And so in couples counseling, you're able to learn efficient relationship communication, caring skills that would actually help your relationship grow and be enhanced in a more fulfilling way. And the third thing is couples counseling, of course, is curative, repair work. If you're coming in with some challenges, then of course the therapeutic process can help you a way through.
Effective therapy doesn't only depend on the skills and experience of the counselor, but also the willingness of the couple. Now, Lizzie, what are some of the things that we can do to make the therapy more effective?
You want to make them feel safe in the counseling room. You want to reassure and normalize the situation that a lot of people go through challenges in life, and that's okay. And really reinforcing that asking for help really reveals strength, courage, and maturity. And it is not a sign of weakness. And if the couple is feeling that this is a stigma, you want to reassure them that, mental health is really one of the more important areas of well-being.
Healthy relationships are marked by an ability to solve problems that might pose a threat to the long-term success of your relationship. By being able to analyze the relationship, you can work together to build a more fulfilling one. Now, Sally, what are some tips for building a stronger relationship?
I think it starts with knowing your partner more deeply, be more considerate in their needs, like listening, their psychological way of loving, because we have different expression of love. So understanding those different needs psychologically, mentally, and having the right mindset, the same directions in the future will create a better and long-lasting relationship.
Lissy, before we go, do you have any advice or any tips for our viewers on our couples on how they can stay in love?
So, love is not only a feeling, right? Because as you know, feelings are fleeting, feelings can change. I just want to share with all the couples out there that love is a decision. Love is a commitment. And when you make a commitment to love someone, really make it your mission, your passion to maintain this love as people are searching for their forever. And there are many things that you can do in order to stay in love, stay connected emotionally, stay loving through daily caring behaviors, constantly communicate through various interests and intellectual compatibility. Show your love and affection through many different ways, and safeguard your relationship for the long haul.
This discussion, I'm sure, was very helpful to both singles and couples alike. Thank you very much, counseling psychologist Ms. Lissy Ann Puno and clinical psychologist Ms. Sally Magpantay, for sharing your expertise on this very interesting topic. Now, the quality of a person's relationship can dictate their quality of life. The term "love makes us stronger" isn't just a cliche. When we know how to heal relationships and keep them strong, they can make us resilient. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is Med Talk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Saro sa mga kumonahelang kan mga senior citizen ngunyan, iyo an katarata. Pagigwakan katarata, malabo ang paghiling mo, taigwang puting layer na nakatakop sa mata mo. Kaya lang, mahal magpa-opera ning katarata. An iBerry, an epektibong bulong sa katarata, asin iba pang kamatean sa panlalabo kan mga mata. An iBerry, igwang bilberry, asin ini gibo sa Amerika. Epektibo man an iBerry sa glaucoma, pterygium, astigmatism, pamumula sigla, pagluluha, gatol, asin makulog ang mata dahil sa sobrang paggamit kan cellphone asin computer. An iBerry mababakal sa Mercury Drug, St. Joseph, Watson's, asin sa indong suking butika.
Mahalagang paalala, ang iBerry ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamiting panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Renibong estudyante na ang natabangang makagraduar.
Ako po ay nagpapasalamat kay Congressman Elizalde Esco dahil isa po ako sa libo-libong estudyante na natulungan sa pamamagitan ng educational assistance.
Ginatus na nagtatrabaho sa laong asinluwas ka nasyon.
Dakula po ang sakuyang pasalamat sa nagbubuokan ako Bicol Party List. Kung bako pong dahil sa indang tabang na naitao, bako po ako ngunyan sarong maestra na nag-iserve asin nagatabang sa mga kaakian na sa indamang pagklase.
Ako Bicol Party List, katabang na, kasurog pa.
Nanlalabo na ba ang inyong mga paningin? O kailangan mo ng proteksyon laban sa radiation? Ano pa ang hindi hintay nyo? Pumunta na sa The Vintage Optical. Ang optical para sa lahat. Visit us at the ground floor, Gaisano Capital, Barangay San Roque, Iriga City. We offer free computerized eye examination. Free frame. Lente lang ang babayaran. Starts at $999 complete eyeglasses with anti-radiation lens. The Vintage Optical, the widest selection of optical signature frames and sunglasses. The Vintage Optical, ang optical para sa lahat. CNN Philippines are sa RPN-DZKI-IRIGA alas 6 hasta alas 7 ng manggi, Lunes hanggang Biyernes. CNN Philippines are